Welcome to the Business Ethics Podcast, exploring the ethical questions of today to create a more equitable tomorrow. I am your host, Blake Peterson, and I invite you to join me on this discussion about business ethics. Today, we are thrilled to have an inspiring guest who is a true leader in the finance industry. He is a co-founder of LendingLink, a company that is helping small businesses thrive and achieve their financial goals. He is a recognized expert in his field, a philanthropist, and a champion for diversity and inclusion. Please welcome the passionate and dynamic Daniel Padilla.
I left the bank in December 2017. 2018, I started to create this nonprofit organization to building it from the get-go. So there was nothing.
I love it.
Nothing set up, so it took us about a year to do that, because the first time we applied for a 501c3 status, we were going to be denied because obviously it was set up to do lending. We were doing lending, very low rates. That's it.
Yeah.
IRS didn't like the matter that we were charging interest, we're making money, so we're nonprofit interest. We got the hint that we were going to be denied, so we did it again, and we added the financial literacy, financial education piece.
So make it happen.
Which at the beginning it wasn't required by the funders, and still isn't. This is You don't have to be educated to have the need, and you don't have the need to be educated, vice versa. So
but it is for the
we added that. So 50% of our time devoted to lending, 40% of our time devoted to financial education, financial coaching, and 10% of the time to do referrals and work together with other organizations. So
I love it.
And so late 2018, we were ready. We hired staff. We started that. And there was a government shutdown late 2018, so we couldn't do it. We had to wait 6 more months until they approved us. The approval came in late May 2018.
Yeah, and then since then, there's been lots of ups and downs in the world.
Yes, and the other piece is since we had the staff ready, we didn't have anything to do at the beginning of the year, so we decided to do tax preparation for free. Yeah. And ever since, we've done it every spring or winter when tax season comes. Yeah. And we've been pretty successful about it. It's free. We don't charge anything for that. We became a VITA site. Yeah. And we're growing. I mean, right now tax season is over. We did over 2,000 tax returns for free in our office. We have that office in South 24th Street, 24th and L. That's our first and main location. We were supposed to open 4 locations, but the pandemic came and that kind of put a halt in our efforts. But we already have a second location going in North Omaha.
That's awesome.
52nd and Ames. We have another partners. We have satellite locations in other nonprofits, Heart Ministry Center, and we go and partner with them.
That's great.
So awesome. We wrote our first loan in June of 2019. As of today, we've done 5,000 loans. We've deployed about $10 million in capital for individuals and micro businesses, and some loans using collateral, car loans. And that's obviously we have delinquencies. Our rates are 5%. Fixed, no other fees.
Very fair.
We started to raise the rates a little bit now because of the environment, but we don't charge anything over 8, and it's everything is set up as a fixed rate. We don't charge any application fees, no monthly fees, no late fees. We don't sell our collections, so we just try to make an effort to get our funding back. But if it doesn't happen, we just write them off. There's nothing.
Yeah. And for reference, right now, personal loans are probably on the low end of 10% if you're going to go to an outside lender, from what I've seen. Would you agree with that? So you guys are even lower than if I were to go to a SoFi, for instance, and try to apply for a personal loan. Yeah. I mean, 10% is probably on the low end of what's being offered right now.
Yes, there are about 12% actually locally, 12.5% smaller loans. I mean, they don't start loans as us. We start at 200.
Right.
But then the others will have to start a little higher rate.
Yeah.
And we try to manage our delinquencies. We don't have there's nothing like this in the country. There's not an organization that's private funders do that to help the communities. Yeah. So we didn't have any benchmarks. We're setting our own. We thought we were going to lose about 10% of our capital every year. As of today, we've lost about 2% of the capital.
That's great. Yeah, it really is bad.
And we keep delinquency status of maybe 5 or 6% of our clients are 30 or 60 days late, but we're talking to them. Right. We build a relationship with every client. That's the only thing. We don't do anything online or using social media or over the phone. We want to talk to the clients. We are trying to build that relationship so it is more difficult to them to disappear. I mean, we make that to a point. If you have any problems, please come back and see us. There are ways that we could help you. Everybody goes through a budgeting session where we determine if they are not creditworthy, but if they can pay back, because that's one of the things that we're going to help you. This is not a grant. We're trying to make it work so you can give us the money back so we can do it again and again with you or somebody else.
Right.
That's what we've been doing for now.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, it sounds like wonderful work. Let's back up for a minute and maybe talk a little bit about. So you said that you immigrated here from Guatemala. Right? You said how many years ago?
Yeah, that has been 28 years ago that my family and I immigrated from Guatemala.
Wow, that's wonderful. So did you have an interest in this field at first, back when you were in Guatemala, or was it something that you discovered once you got here?
I discovered it here. I mean, I love the customer service field. My degree is in hospitality businesses, so I came here to learn to train at hotels. I didn't find because I came to Omaha. I didn't find a hotel back then. I mean, there was really nothing. Downtown was quiet. There was nothing going on. I started doing hotel reservations at a call center and a little bit of call center, another one, but nothing related to customer service. I found that bank. I was looking for a bilingual teller to start that effort in South 24th Street here in Omaha, and that's what I did. That was in 1994. In the late 80s, there was an amnesty for the immigrants by President Reagan. And so everybody was free to start working. Jobs starting to dry up in California, Texas, Georgia, all of those. So the immigrants didn't have places to work, so they started to come north. Meatpacking plants were reopening and trying to new boom here in Omaha. And obviously, there were no Latino population here, maybe 4,000 Latinos back then.
Right.
And they were they grew up here, so they didn't have a need for Spanish-speaking tellers or anything like that. So when that influx of immigrants started to get to us, they didn't know where to go. So they started to go to this bank, and we started to create programs, or at least be having a translator to be in the middle of the conversations. There was not enough business, obviously, for the bank to have one representative for a small business or mortgage or merchants or anything like that. So I was in the middle of all of those conversations, translating for them back and forth. And that's when I became that passion came to say, I could do this better. So it's not just teaching the people how to use an ATM machine because they were new at the time. It was not just telling how to save or how to do banking here in the United States. It's different. So we need to start from the bottom.
Yeah.
And since that started to grow, immigrants continued to come. Other banks saw that need, and they started to do the same. So there was kind of a coalition, nothing formal, but we started to work together with the community, trying to establish new programs, education that didn't exist at the time.
Yeah.
But back then, the FDIC got involved, and they created a task force that they called the New Immigrants Task Force, and they provided us with some materials, some options, and that's when they created their educational program. That it's even good now. I mean, that's something that we use now because they have the resources, so they can create and update the program every year, and that's the one that we follow. Because the community is changing. I mean, so now those immigrants that we helped 25 years ago, they're having kids, they have a second generation, but they still have some type of needs, and the newcomers. I mean, they continue to see that over and over.
What do you think is the importance of having someone who can be there for these people, especially someone who has gone through the immigration process themselves in the bank? Did you kind of see a meaningful increase of people that were immigrants, especially from the Latino group that started to really come to the bank once you got on board and started to work with them directly? Would that really make a big impact?
It made a big impact in the community and within the banking industry, because you got to remember, they came through an immigration process that was hard. It's always hard.
Yeah.
But when you think banking and savings and all of that in our countries, I mean, it's very difficult. We don't have anything like the FDIC. There is nothing that the government will protect your assets or your deposits. The bank closes today, I mean, your funds are out. There's nothing like that. And there are many, many experiences of this in our country. So they, at the beginning, they didn't trust the institutions. They didn't trust the process. They didn't trust the system. So that was the piece of first educational is saying things work different here. The government backs your deposits. It doesn't matter. They don't talk about immigration status. They think about banking, and they think about your deposits.
Right.
So it takes, I mean, it's still the case where a new immigrant takes about 3 trips to the bank to do it. I mean, because first they hear about the banks, so they will come and they just look around, maybe get a brochure or something, or go, now it's online. Before it wasn't like that. So it was just come, see how it looks, try to make contact with somebody. The next time they will come and try to talk and see if that was true or that was what was in it for them. And then the third time they already had the relationship. Maybe they talked to their peers and they said, it is true, go, they can help you. And that's how you're going to start developing that relationship. And then you can open your accounts. First, obviously, you start with an account. Then you start with the ancillary products like an ATM card. I mean, I referred back to them because there was nothing like internet or social media, so you had to come and do that in person. There wasn't the generation of telemarketing. They were buying things over the phone, and obviously the institutions didn't have the capacity to serve, so they still have to come, and that's why the branches in the Latino suburbs expanded, because there was the need of that personal contact, that personal level. And even now, it's a little bit difficult. There are some banks many banks are trying to get into the digital. And it's hard to explain for them. It's hard to explain to the clients how is that going to benefit. So that you still see the banks full of people in paydays or Fridays or what have you.
Yeah, they're not quite using all the tools because they don't quite trust them. It took 3 times them coming in just to open an account. So now getting them to use the new products isn't going to be so quick. You need to always be more patient, probably, and really focus on the educational side.
And that was something that the bank saw. I mean, the institutions, we kind of created the same coalition among peers, where we, again, trying to start educating people or telling them what to do, how to do it, the benefits of all of it. And so we bankers went to the people together without a flag. So I didn't say I work for First National or I work for Wells Fargo, and we did it all together. Go to a bank, talk to a banker whatever bank. You can find the ones close to you, the one your cousin goes, or the ones you like because you like the customer service. It doesn't matter where. Speak to a banker. Talk to a banker. They are going to tell you what it is and how to work with it. So that creates the relationship of, it doesn't matter where they go, as long as they go to a trusted institution.
Right. Yeah, I say that all the time. I tell people, I'm like, I don't care if you work with me. I just hope you're working with somebody to help plan your future, because it does take planning. You have to have intention behind your finances if you do want to make strides. You can't just put your money under the mattress anymore, right?
And we saw that, especially during the Y2K, when we were coming from 1999 to 2000. Everybody didn't know, and all what you hear in the news is everything is going to crash. Yeah. So we're starting to see people taking out the money, leaving it at home, and waiting for that. So that was another piece of don't worry about it. We will get to it.
Yeah, so. It's so funny. I remember sitting there waiting for the world to end in Y2K, and then it didn't, and here we are. It's just such a shock. There's always been some reason the world's going to end, huh? It's always knocking on our door.
So yeah, it's in there. So again, we created that from a basic checking or savings account. Then the credit card. I mean, they needed a credit card. They needed lending products. They didn't understand how this works, how the interest works here, how they charge, how the fees work sometimes. And then what is the credit? How do you build credit? What is important? And then it's the next, okay, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, how or why you are not getting it,
right?
Or why you are going to these places where they're just taking advantage of you. And that happened to me. I mean, that's some of the things that I'm telling my people, or that I've told my clients in the past, it happened to me. I bought my first car, a horrible interest rate. I tried to come back the next day and tried to give back the car, and obviously it wasn't possible. When I bought my first house, I paid a lot of fees, and those are things that stuck to me. And if I learn from my mistakes, I want to teach that to the other people. How to get an insurance product. How do you do the protect your assets? How do you don't go, if you don't have the funds now, don't start an annuity, don't start a college education yet. Wait when it's the right time and go to the right people.
Right. Yeah. If you spread yourself too thin, trying to do too much, you're never going to make up the ground to get there. Right. And so I'm sure that you run into that a lot of times with people who are probably not only people who are newly immigrants, but even younger people. I see that happening a lot today. They expect everything to be happening right here, right now.
Yes.
And you got to work on the fundamentals.
It doesn't happen. And then there's still that disbelief. I mean, you see, I'm sure you've seen that in your field. You still don't see a lot of Latinos investing. Right. They still have that fear that where is my money going to go? Where is that? They don't take in consideration the time or what you have to do, the deposits every so often. Keep that. During my time at the bank, I licensed myself. I had the license 6 and 63 to start doing trying to educate people, but unfortunately I couldn't get a lot of clients. I did get a few of the what I call the older immigrants who are here from other countries. I tried to help them, assist them a little bit, because we built that relationship where they trusted the banker. Now they trusted the financial advisor, but it was just not enough to keep doing that. And it was a little difficult wearing the two hats, doing banking and investments, because regulations, that's when they started to come and they act. So it was actually 2008, and it was difficult to keep that.
Yeah, I think that it would be a very hard thing to start a financial advising practice in 2008.
Yes,
it'd be a very tough time. So you're not alone. Not alone there at all. But I agree with you. We have a large group of clients in the firm who are immigrants. Most of them are from Africa that we work with, but I do have several Latino families. They'd be second generation, though. Yes. So obviously, first generation Americans, obviously their parents are the ones who immigrated here. And it does take a few conversations, unless they've done something like participated in a retirement plan at work, and they're able to see, okay, I see that grow. When I just don't watch it and I put money into it, I see how that can happen. That helps it click. But sometimes when I try to work with their parents even and bring them in, it is a multiple meeting session.
Yes.
And some people, what they don't know is that they won't help them because they might not have a minimum. You have to have $250,000 to talk to us. You have to have this. Luckily, I don't have that kind of minimum, but it sometimes is a lot of work for the really small accounts. But you're like, listen, you need this.
It's going to build.
Please come here and start this because we care about you and I want you to be successful. So it's that caring, obviously, that you must have to have gone in not only personal banking to take care of all these people who have gone through similar situations like yourself to now leading you to Lending Link. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about what is the goal of Lending Link? Like, what is your purpose of starting that company and what do you guys want to accomplish?
The first purpose was to go against the payday lenders. There was a huge issue here in Nebraska years ago, and it's been for a while. So this group of funders got together and said, we need to do something. Obviously, nobody wanted to put the funding necessary to start this option, but it was, as I said, 2016 when they said we have to do this. Let's start a coalition. They got together, the funders, and they found people who wanted to work for that, to build the organization, who had a little bit of knowledge of the banking and then the nonprofit side, because there's going to be a new organization. So that's what they did. They put all the resources together. They trusted in me and another person. I built this organization with Jerry Byers. He was a retired insurance executive, so he was the one taking care of the financials, projections, and that. We did our due diligence across the country. We didn't find any models other than one very small in Oakland, California, but they have had the problems of funding. So this guy has been around for at least 15 years, and he's still very small because he didn't have the means. So what he did is he tried to expand his services, not just doing lending, not just doing education, but also offering check cashing or money wiring services or other things to make a little bit of income for that organization. So that's how we started. We went against the payday lenders. We became part of that coalition that brought the law and that fortunately passed. So the payday lenders are not here anymore. I mean, they still are in a way of providing loan services, but they didn't have anything to do with the financial education, financial literacy. We call it financial coaching. What we and it's sometimes a little bit. Careful not to go into financial advising, because we cannot do that, financial or financial counseling,
right?
Because we don't have the means, or we will be putting in risk our 501c3 status by counseling and then do the loans ourselves. So that's something that we don't do. So we refer that to a different partner.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's unfortunate that the regulation forces good people like you to not be able to take that next step, but I guess it's probably there for bad actors. Yeah. Right, who want to commingle. So
that was the main purpose. Let's do that. Let's try not to send people to the payday lenders. And also, there are a lot of street lenders. I mean, you still see people charging 10-12% per month, and they don't take partial payments. So it's either you pay me the interest or you pay me the whole thing. I don't allow that. So it's kind of a different status for the expensive.
Yeah.
So we're able to combat that. But then the online lending is here. I mean, it's very easy to get a loan online, and still very, very high rates. So it's part of that education piece of don't do that yet. I mean, come and see me. Let's try to talk first and see what you need, how you are, and what other means you may have for that. So we don't do huge loans. I mean, our loan limit is only $5,000, but it's good enough. We report to the 3 credit bureaus. We belong to the Credit Builders Associations of America, so we have access to pull credit for some type of education if we want to do that with the client. But the main thing is that we report to the 3 bureaus, and that's where you tell them this is what's going to happen to you in 6 months. In 6 months, you will have credit, or at least you will rebuild your credit, or you will have another. You lowered your debt. Now you're able to go back to your application, Habitat for Humanity or Omaha 100, and do that because now you have better credit. Now you know what you're doing, and that's a piece of the education. Obviously, we will never eliminate poverty. This thing is going to be here forever, but we will try to put a dent on that. That's
dent. Excellent. But I think you're doing it in such a meaningful way because you're doing more than just throwing money at the problem. You know, you're providing education. You are giving people a leg up and giving them money when they might need it, but you're not charging them outrageous rates. Let's talk about the payday lenders for some people who aren't familiar. What was that world like before the laws passed and everything? I mean, why was it that people were getting sucked into these places, and what was it doing to them financially?
It's a revolving debt that they got. I mean, you know, they needed $300 to fix their car, and they went to these places. They wrote a check for $300 to them. They didn't get the $300. They got $275, and they only had 2 weeks to bring the $300 back.
Right.
Obviously, they didn't have the $275 or $300 in 2 weeks, so they had to do it again. And even though there were some laws where you could only do it twice, they could go to another one and do the same, and start the process will never end.
Right.
The rates, so you analyze the rates, were over 400%, and it was extremely, extremely expensive. But there were no other options. Where do I go? The banks cannot serve me either because I don't have any credit, or I don't have any documents, or I have bad credit for whatever reason. Could be medical, could be bankruptcy, or anything that you didn't want to talk about. So there are no options. As per se, we don't have any competitors at our level. If we're going to put in the competition word, a couple of organizations that do this, but they are also limited on their funding and their capacity. There's this Grameen Bank organization that's been here for about 20 years. They do some type of group lending to women entrepreneurs, but there was nothing to serve a client who just needed $200 to buy tires for the car, to take the kids to school, or to go to work. Mm-hmm. Or there were no options for them to pay medicine for $200 that they needed, and their insurance didn't cover, or they didn't have insurance, so they needed that money quick, and that was the reason that we started. So we based, obviously we have some underwriting guidelines, but we always don't use credit. I mean, we do sometimes, but we base our decisions on character. You see, the people that they really want to make this up. They have a problem. They just want to get better. In a way, it could be for a couple of months only, or it could be to establish their dreams and to reach them at the time.
Yeah, and some people don't understand how desperate it can be for that $200 in certain instances. Yeah. And so it's important to have that compassion, understanding that these people do need that little leg up from time to time. You're able to provide it to them, but at a fair rate. Mm-hmm. Seems like you're doing negotiating with them, education along the way. What do you see from the people who go through your program? Obviously, I'll bet you probably have a list of some people who are one-time clients and fall off because it's just they're not really committed. And you probably have a book of, we'll call it a book of business, quote unquote, of people who have come back to you time and time again, and you've helped. Do you see these people begin to level up financially, credit-wise, all those things over time?
And that's what we tell them. I mean, I don't want to see you again. I mean, or I want to see you a couple of times and that's it. I want you to graduate to the next level. Could be going to the Nebraska Enterprise Fund to get your funding for your business. I'm going to help you out here maybe 1 or 2 times, but I want you to graduate because I don't have the resources available for that. I can give you a loan here for $200, $300, $400 a couple of times to do what you have to do, pay your rent, get back on your electricity bills or something like that. But after that, I hope you can go to this institution, doesn't matter which one, just go, and I'm sure you will be ready because they are going to pull your credit, they are going to talk to you, and you're going to tell them your experience. You understand now that here we can work a little with you. I mean, I can make your payments as low as you want. I can make your payments to be weekly, because you get paid every Friday, and that's when you want your debit, so you understand that part of that money is going to go back to us, but it's just going to be in an amount that you can afford. Or if you don't want to do it that way, we can do it every other week because that's when you get paid, or is that because that's how you manage your finances? Or I can do this at the end of the month and do it one time, or I can do it on the 15th of each month. Or sometimes there are people who are in fixed income getting Social Security or SSI income, and you get your payment on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. We can set the payment up, but you understand that this $500, you're going to pay back $51 per month for the next 10 months. So it's going to cost you $10 to do this. It's not that expensive. Right. But if for some reason $50 is not for you, I mean, we can do $25. Or if for some reason you have next month you cannot do it because it's Christmas and you're going to need some extra money, you can talk to us and we can skip that payment. It's not going to cost you anything. It's going to cost you cents to skip that payment. We have an online system, a cloud-based system where we don't keep any personal information, but we're able to manage those to service those loans in any way. Very manual process. And that's what you tell them. Here, I can do this. When you graduate to the bank, things are going to be a little different, but you still have these options. You still have your phone. You can see how your payments are. You can see your paycheck. You can see how much money they are going to take. And if for some reason you can't, go back to them and rewrite your loan or do what you have to do with that. Here, I'm helping you buy a car that's 10, 12 years old. You obviously want to go in to buy a newer car, a better car. Don't go and just think about a payment. Go and think what's going to happen to you after you make 84 payments. That's going to be a huge amount. So start a low-level car. I mean, we'll teach you how to go next. And that credit's going to help you to now we're talking now maybe 5-6% to buy a car or 7%. Yeah. But it's not going to be 24 like sometimes you see those predators doing that.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that. So
yes, unfortunately.
The credit score system is something I think about a lot and I have a lot of conversation about. It's interesting to me. Where do you stand on how our system works and how you think it affects these people? Because truly, when you turn 18 in this country, it's like we're turning on the switch, baby. Yes. We're sending you credit cards. We're sending you, what you want a loan? Absolutely, let's do it. How about student loans? What school do you want to go to? Are you sure you don't want to have a little extra money for your commissary while you're here? Uh-huh. I mean, it just keeps on going on, and people are able to dig themselves into a hole pretty quickly. So it is obviously, what can you do about that? Educate people, which you are doing, because you can't change the system. How do you work with the system and make the system work for you? Seems to be the approach that you are taking. But I know that you guys also were involved in some legislative bills to get rid of predatory lenders, payday lending. So is there any discussion about the credit system and maybe what changes you think could be made to be more helpful to people, especially those who are immigrating here, have to learn an entirely new system overnight and are expected to just hop in and keep up.
Yeah, I think the very good change that just happened is where they are not reporting the medical collections anymore, and that's a huge help, because I mean you just don't know that you have a bill that you didn't pay because they didn't send you a bill, or maybe the bill got lost in the mail. You know how you move and you don't know about it, and then maybe understand the algorithms. I mean, how the credit system works, because we don't know. I mean, we don't know. You tell them you make your payments on time, you get a credit, but how much is too much?
Right.
And then you see a person with a huge. I mean, they made their payments. They have very good credit history, and you see a very low score because they just don't have enough lines open. Right. And then you want to see why is that? I mean, if I have too many, it's going to be bad. If I have too little, it's going to be bad as well. So where is that? How do we manage the score? It's not just making the payments on time. Sometimes they tell you don't close your old account. Sometimes they tell you close your old account. So it's like different. So we just don't know, and we have to be honest with ourselves and the people. We'll do the best. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you get into this $50,000-$60,000 car loan, because payments are going to be big. I mean, you also have to think that you need $5,000-$6,000 to pay the plates and the taxes, and that's the second piece where we see clients. Oh, I can get a loan to buy a car, and then you'll give me a loan to pay the registration fees, and then you say, okay, wow, yeah, we can do it, but then you have two payments. So that's part of the budgeting process. We go through that, and so the credit may help you get that, but it's not just going to be enough. This credit is going to hurt you later if you can make a payment for one or another reason, because then your kids went to school and you had to buy school supplies or anything like that, and you cannot make a payment. One missed payment, that could be a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think some people might have a common misconception that the people who need that type of education are only those who, what if we want to classify as lower income people. However, I know of a lot of young people who just start to make money and are able to, oh my gosh, a Mercedes-Benz E-Class? Are you absolutely sign me up? 2023 brand new. I can afford that payment. $700 a month. I make a lot of money now. Let's go. And they don't realize that's going to affect you being able to buy a house in the future because you've already maxed out so much of your credit. That's going to affect a lot of other things that come into your life. So what is the type of people that you work with? Is there a pretty wide range, or do you think that you primarily are helping those just getting started in their
Unfortunately, there's a wide range. I mean, we cannot put our finger in one option. I mean, obviously during the pandemic and after that last year, we saw a lot of immediate needs like pay back rent or utilities or make up a payment that they missed for rent or mortgage. But we see it all. Like we see clients who are willing. I mean, I'm talking to the Latinos. We see clients that they were able to buy their house, or they don't have a house yet, but they want their kids to start financing that for them. And then tell them this is a mistake. Could be good for you, not good for them, because it's gonna go to their credit. And by the way, when they buy their first house, doesn't matter. It won't be their first house because they already have one, so they will miss on those opportunities, those incentives that come from other organizations. So that's one. Yeah. And then they are going to be responsible forever. It's 30 years or it's 20 years. Yes, you are going to make the payments. We understand that you're going to live here. What happens if life happens, right? I mean, if you're not here, or if you need to move, or if you need to sell the house, your son or your daughter, they're still responsible for that, and they cannot get a good start because they have that huge responsibility. So, and that's what we tell them when we do that at a very small level. We take into consideration their income, their family income, their non-traditional income, because we see people working or the men are working and the women are taking care of kids at home. So that's a non-traditional income. We see a lot of entrepreneurs starting their own business, and what they do is they want to buy Herbalife or Avon or those products that you sell. You see, they need money for the inventory and then sell it and then do it again and again, or buy some clothing from their countries and sell it here, but they need that. So that's one. We see others that started a small store. They need more money to increase their inventory, or they need money to buy some fridges or whatever their business is going. We have kids or young adults trying to get cars because their transportation system is not very reliable or good around here, and the workplaces are all over. So that's it. Then we also have clients who will come and says, I am a subcontractor, and the insurance is asking me for this document, what it is. As a contractor license, do you know what it is? So go through the process of telling me how to obtain and what to do, and then go to a reputable insurance agent. Or everybody says, they told me that the contractor that I work for, I need an LLC. What is an LLC? How do I form that? It's going to cost me $500. And he said, no, it's not going to cost you that. We can help you do this. We can help you put your business with the Secretary of State, and it only costs $110 because those are the filing fees, but we're going to tell you what are the repercussions of that in your taxes. How are you going to have to account for that money? How are you going to keep track of those monies? You really may not need the LLC, but that comes to a conversation. Those are different topics that we talk. When it comes tax time, we saw individuals with 2 or 3 W-2s. By the way, they bring the famous 1099-Rs because they took the retirements. They didn't know what to do with it, so they just took it out. So then they understand, well, I already paid the penalty. I already paid the taxes. No, you may get some of that money back, but the penalty is here, and the penalty is going to hit right here in this line, and that's what happens. So that's another education when they come and I have this retirement. Even if it's a low amount, even if it is $1,000, $2,000, you tell them, if you take it out, you are not 59 and a half yet. They are going to take 100 just from the bottom line. Yeah. And by the way, the state is going to do it the same. So even if it's that low amount, go to a bank, ask them about an IRA or a Roth IRA or a retirement, whatever it may be, so you can start with that. Like, I don't have the products, I don't have any retail products or anything like that, but I can tell them where to go, what to do, and tell them a little bit of the rules or how you're doing it.
Yeah, that's so important, and I see it all the time in my field where people do want to start to dip into those retirement assets prior to the age of 59 and a half, and it's very sad. It's sad because I do everything I can to talk them out of it. Some people, you just can't. It is what it is. They're going to have to do it, and then I get a call around this time of the year, a little late. Hopefully they're not calling me right now, calling me about a month earlier, and they're like, my tax guy says I owe this extra money. Well, yeah. Because you took your money out too soon. Right? Those are all things that we're not taught in school. The education isn't there. And then you feel an urgent need for this money. You need this money right now. You have to solve this problem. Where else can I go to get it?
Yeah, right? And the more established workers had a good break, if you wish, during the pandemic. When they came up with that, you can take money off your retirement account and you can divide that income in 3 years. How do you explain that to them, and what's the impact? Because this was the 3rd year, and I took that money 3 years ago and I'm still paying. Yes, right. But remember, we told you that if you were to take the whole distribution, you were going to pay this. So that's piece of the institution. And sometimes they catch it on time. It's less than 60 days. So you tell me you still have time. Go and do it. You roll over, and you kind of tell them. But it's difficult because of the time. They just think about money. They think about retirement, and they just don't think about the future.
It's human nature because it's for so long everything was so immediate for us. If you subscribe to the idea of evolution, it's like, we need to eat now, and a lot, because we don't know when the next time we're going to eat. And it's almost, that's just progressing to how we deal with money now and how we treat ourselves when we think about money, because I need to pay for this right now. I need to solve this right now. You're not thinking about the fact that you're going to have that bill when you're 65, 72. Life just doesn't stop happening. Yes. Things come up, man. Things always come up.
They do. And you start the next generation or the first generation, you see them working, you see them retiring. I want to retire, but they told me that I can still work. And you tell me, yes, you're going to still, but that's why you're paying taxes on this money that is a Social Security income because you made this much. So that's how you had to go back and do a little bit of education at that level and tell them what they can, what they should do to avoid any surprises. Yeah. But that's when we go back to the education piece. We don't see a lot of organizations or a lot of financial institutions doing it, and I think it's paramount of their operations. I mean, because volume is something. Even if the accounts are small, if you get to the community, you're going to see when they trust, that's when they grow, and it's important. But we need to go back and let them know that something can be done, and if they didn't have the opportunity to learn when they were growing up or they were making their lives, that this could happen. It's a matter of having those groups. It's very difficult to go and go into the school system and try to do something like this.
Right.
It is difficult to go to a library. Of course, they will open up their spaces, but how do you get people? How do you convene them and tell them that this is going to be something needed?
Yeah, and meeting them all on the level where they are at. We've done some presentations with my firm at like the Hope Center here in town. Love those people, love everything they do. And we have a lot of great questions there. When we leave, everybody's like, yep, I'm going to contact you. I can't wait. Going to contact you. Maybe one person does.
Yes.
Maybe one person does. And of that one person, you just hope you can make a change in their life. But it's hard to get people to take the step to work on their financial well-being.
Yes,
right?
And it is great when you have partners. We partner with them. Sometimes we get their clients that want to initiate a business, or they have some problems, and they send them our way. So it's a two ways, and that's good because trying to refer. But there are limits. I mean, we're not enough. We're not big enough to take them all, and we also have to take care of the other pieces where they're graduating from being a small business. What's next? You told me that I was going to. Yes, I'm going to help you, but now you have to go into a business plan. So you have to go into a next level of planning. Of course, I can still help you, but the organizations are not there, or they're very, very few.
Yeah, at least you can help guide them to organizations that you trust and people that you know, which would be very helpful, because there's that trust piece that you miss once you leave you guys at Lending Link and have to go on to the next. You have to rebuild that. You talked about at the beginning, it takes 3 times them coming into the bank. It probably is going to take a few times in that situation as well, especially when you're talking about taking out a business loan for tens of thousands of dollars potentially.
Yeah. So what we do try to get the word out to the funding community, telling them that this is what we're doing. I mean, it's as you said, it's hard. Not many people know about us, because if we do some marketing campaign, then we get too many people trying to get help. Because the idea is fresh. So tell them that's why we need the funding. We don't have a building. We don't need that money to like a capital campaign. My capital is actual cash that I need to lend and then get it back and recycle the help, do it over and over and over. I don't have a depreciation expense. I may have a charge of expense or a write-off when I'm gonna lose maybe 2% of this capital, 2 or 3%. But then I can expand my offerings in a way of, okay, I was probably too tight with this person. Maybe I could do a little bit more. Even if I lose that, if I have some backing of that community, is like I'm still not granting the money. I'm still trying to make it work.
Yeah, you're trying to work, and it's great you're doing that, because it's an educational piece. You're giving them, it's like to teach a man to fish, for the rest of their life. So obviously you're doing that. You're teaching them to fish rather than just giving it to them. So where does the lending come from for Lending Link? How are you all funded? Or I'm sorry, funding.
We're funding from private foundations, only local private foundations.
Great.
Last year we also became a CDFI, so now we have access to some government funding. As a matter of fact, we're getting some funding in the summer that is going to go to the qualified census tracts. The government wants to increase the lending capacity into certain areas in North and South Omaha.
Wow.
And we were going to try that. So becoming a CDFI was a huge step for us. Not very many, very complicated process. Very proud of that, and very, very eager to start getting more information and more resources from the government, because that really helps.
Yeah.
Because obviously we just don't have an unlimited amount of funding. We need to work and take care of that. But the more we get, the more we can expand our services. So now we have that office in North Omaha. We may open a retail location with more traffic access while we get our feet wet and see how this community is going to reply to that. But we don't have any demographic limitations. About 50% of our clients are from the South Omaha zip codes. About 30% of our clients from the North Omaha zip codes, and then we still have a mix of West Omaha, Sarpy, and Washington County come and see us.
Yeah.
So if we continue to expand, again, we need to be careful. So we have what we advertise. We have the funding necessary to serve those clients, and maybe if we're able to present better results or good results, I mean, just a matter of being more public in that, it helps. This is not just, obviously it's just another nonprofit organization, but this is our target area. This is what we're doing. This is what we have been able to do. We have a story to tell. We have 3.5 years of lending. I have 3 years of audited financial statements. See, it's really happening. And by the way, we take care of 7 employees. I mean, that's so we are the meaning of life for these 7 families, and which has been great. They do it from the heart. I mean, they have different experiences, different backgrounds, but they have been here for the 3.5 years. We have 0 turnover in those years. So that's been amazing, because you see that they really like what they do. It's a passionate thing where they don't do this for the position. They don't do this for promotion. They do it because it's from their hearts.
Yeah, you have to love it, I think, and it's beautiful to hear you say that, because that's similar why I got into the industry myself, because I had someone who taught me. I had someone to sit down and teach me all these things. I was like, geez, this is so powerful. Why don't more people know about this? Why is this not spoken about from the beginning? I mean, elementary school, we should be talking about Roth IRAs in middle school. Yeah. By the time you're in high school, people should already be, maybe have their own LLC if you have a lawn mowing business on the side that you're making some serious money on. I mean, there is no discussion on it. There is no education on it. And what you're doing, I think, is a vital piece to help small business owners and individuals, but really you small business owners, I think that's a huge underserved part of the business community, because they truly might need, you have a $5,000 limit on your loans, but $5,000 can go a long way when you're getting a business off the ground.
Or you have an ongoing business, if you have a lunch truck and they just need to refurbish it, or to do some new offerings now that the summer comes, or now there are more availability of them. So that's something that we like to do. Yeah. And there are things that we never think about, but we talk about fraud. I mean, there's another thing that you can tell them: don't go with them because there'll be fraud involved.
Right.
You see a lot of younger kids that come to do their taxes, and they all bring the statements, the dividends, and all of that from the investments and the what's it called,
like Robinhood accounts and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then you talk about the cryptocurrency. Everybody's talking about it. So they think how this is a fraud. We see a lot of clients coming to us with, this is what's happening to me at the bank. This is what they told me. So I did it, and now they're taking money from my account. What do I do?
Wow.
Well, this is what you do. You go back to the bank. This is what and you never ever give your information, because this is what's happening, and it's untraceable. So there is no way that you're going to get it back. But maybe the banks can help you.
Yeah, geez, that is a huge issue. The cryptocurrency, people that don't understand things like, capital gains. Obviously, when you're making these buys and sells, you're doing 100 trades a day. I know people who lost all the money and they still owe taxes because at one point you didn't. One point you were up, and guess what? You owe, now the tax man wants theirs.
Yes.
And they're going to get theirs. I promise you that. The federal government will get theirs.
Yeah, and they don't understand how that works. I mean, there are extensions, but you tell them you can wait to file, but the money you owe starts accruing interest now.
Yeah.
And you get letters from the IRS stating that your identity may be stolen, so you have to do this process of, so it's, again, educational. There's nothing that you can teach in the 2-hour class. There are 14 modules on this FDIC Money Smart. They're growing now. They're building a 15th module now, but is not enough. I mean, and some people have different needs. I mean, you have to take into consideration that when we go and try to teach a class to a group of people, maybe you have 2 hours, maybe you have 10 clients, but everybody has different needs. I mean, somebody wants to talk about credit, children's education, school education, sending money back to their countries, building their house, or they have credit problems. So that's when we try to make connections and do that in an individual basis, which is time consuming, resources are expensive, basically the personnel, but you tell them, I can help you here. Maybe you don't want to open up because sometimes it's a shame of talking bad credit among a group of people, but come and see me. I can come back to this organization. We can talk here. You can go to my office. We can go to the library or wherever you feel comfortable. You set your goals. I'm going to help you reach your goals. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to help you. You set your goals, and we set some steps on how to reach that.
Yeah, and what do you think? I'm just trying to imagine the people listening to the podcast, and we have a variety of listeners, but a lot of business owners who are listening to this podcast, or people in positions to make decisions in companies, right? Don't you think that there may be some room for some of that financial education just in, I don't care if you manage a bank, if you manage a restaurant, whatever, you want your employees to be financially well taken care of and feel financially comfortable, because that is a huge part in, I think, their ability to be essentially the most productive versions of themselves. You know, if they have this overhead weighing thing on them all the time, I think that dampers their productivity, right? So have you seen any interest of, in the private market for you to come in and do some of this educational discussions with their employees? Because that's something that I do with the 401ks that we manage. You know, every 401k that I manage, I come in and I speak with every single individual who wants to be a participant in that plan. Sometimes they don't really want to talk to me. That's fine. Okay, here's what it is. We can sign you up. Great. Other times I find out, hey, I'm actually dealing with this, financial issue. It's been going on for years. I don't really know what to do about it. Great. Okay, let's sit down and go into it. I'm not making any extra money doing that. Like you said, it's resources. It's costing me time a lot of the times, but it's important to me that those people have someone there to listen to them and give them guidance. So have you seen any of that on your end from the private sector?
So that's part of my job as an executive director, is just go and create awareness of what I do and how available we are for that. So it's not just for the financial institutions, for anybody, even for the social services fields, where I can first talk to your employees so they understand, so they feel they don't have that cloud of something above their heads. I mean, it could be their own problems, or it could be somebody else's problems that they don't know how to attack. But going into the financial industry would be way better. As you said, go and try to get leveled with employees, and this is what you're going to see. If you can't help yourself, I mean, it's going to be difficult that you can provide that help. But you tell them, first, make ourselves available for those classes or group sessions or whatever you want to call them, and then we're also available for their clients in a way. We don't make money. We don't charge. Obviously, it would be nice if we can get into a partnership with the company and tell them, if you send me your clients, maybe you can give us some funding, maybe because we don't charge anything to your employees. It's like the employee assistance plans that some insurance has, where the employees can go and talk to somebody, and that's paid by somebody else. Maybe it could be a financial, because as we tell some people, we're like the financial doctor. You have to come here, undress yourself and tell me what your problems are. What do you feel? What do you think? We are going to help you. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just trying to get some information of you, and then I'm going to do a diagnosis, if you wish, and this is how we're going to attack the problem.
Yeah, and have the uncomfortable conversation.
Yes.
People don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation because they are ashamed or they're worried, but somebody needs to tell them, like, hey, this is how the world works. This is where you stand. That's not where you have to stay forever. Yeah. But here's where you are right now. Now here's the next steps.
Yeah, and you talk about the small business too. I mean, just be open. I mean, help is there. There are a lot of organizations there. Financial Hope is one of them. The Nebraska Enterprise Funds, us, but they have to understand. They have to learn that success is not overnight. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, it's going to take work. I mean, just like they did, or a person does, a business has to grow, a business has to risk, a business has struggles, but the reward is going to be there. And it's not just loans. I mean, you just not need a loan. I mean, you need something else. You need an insurance company. You need another type of help, another type of private attorney or something that might help you go. But come on, the help is available. It's just a matter of how do we go and be meaningful to them and explain that situation to the small business owners. And not everybody's the same. Somebody may be in business for a couple of years. They already know what they want. They already know how to keep track of their expenses, the bookkeeping, etc. There are others that just come and do business on a piece of paper. We just did a seminar last week, and we had a person who was a baker. They brought a piece of sack with the flour comes, and it was written, this is what they need, this is what I do. Perfect. That's a business plan. I don't need a full business plan, because where you are, I'm going to help you. Yeah. I'm going to help you. And there's nothing in it for us. Basically, we're not charging you anything. We don't make money. Somebody else, the big and funding community, they are able to help us. They want to put their dollars to make that impact, because it's expensive. I mean, we run an expensive operation, but the impact that we wish we could, like our normal or our average loan size is about $2,000, but we keep about 1,400 loans in the books. So that means that we're serving 1,400 people every month. By the way, those get paid off and do it again, or sometimes just leave. And so we keep that book of business, which is that's the impact, because if you multiply that by the family size, by what you're doing, what they are not missing on lending, like taxes, totally different. But I mean, we did 2,000 tax preparations, and you go to somewhere else, one of those for-profit sites, it's very expensive. It's at least $200, and they charge $50 for every single W-2. So we calculate that at least we would have $1,000,000 back into the people's pocket. So that's the impact.
I would say so. 2,000 tax preparations is a lot. It's no joke. You guys are making a true impact with that and small businesses. I think this has been great. Daniel, thank you so much for coming in, teaching me a little more about what you do. I'm so excited to hear about LendingLink, to know that it exists. I know that this year when Omaha Gives comes up, next time, LendingLink's going to be the place I give my money to. I really appreciate what you all do. And anybody listening, if you think that you need some help, this is the person you can go to talk to. This is a place where there is no judgment. There's only people who care about wanting to make a difference and to help you on your way, wherever you are in your financial journey. Maybe you don't need a loan. Maybe you just need somebody to take a look at your books and tell you what you're missing. Maybe you need somebody, maybe the tax guy you've been going to isn't listening to your concerns and is just letting you know how much money you owe every single year, and you want someone to listen to you and work with you. Go and work with Daniel and his people, because this is great. I know just from hearing this short time, our 50 minutes we spoke together, I would have no problem sending people your way. And I feel very comfortable recommending anyone to you, because you seem like a great person. I love what you do. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, Daniel. And I hope nothing but the best for you and LendingLink. Hopefully you guys just keep on growing, getting bigger and bigger. If people do want to learn more about LendingLink, if they want to donate, where should they go?
LendingLinkOmaha.org.
All right.
And our office, if you're going to come visit 2410L, we're right there.
Perfect. Go there. Get in touch with Daniel and his people. Thanks again, man. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you, Daniel, for joining us today and sharing your insights and experiences. Your passion for promoting ethical business practices and supporting small businesses is truly inspiring. It's been a pleasure to get to know you better and to learn more about your vital work and what you're doing at LendingLink. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors and hope you'll join us again soon. To all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and encourage you to follow us on social media for more inspiring content. Until next time, keep striving for excellence and positively impacting the world.